Hey guys, and welcome. Welcome to Bingerton. I apologize if my Wi-Fi makes me go all Max Headstrom on you tonight. It's been kind of funky around my house. But hello, there's so many of you in the chat already that I'm not going to say your names, but I'm super glad that you're here. I am going to say hi to Rach because now she's not Rush. And I didn't know who she was, so I'm glad you changed your avatar and your name so we know you're here. Hello, everybody. I'm glad you're talking to one another, telling each other what's up. We are here to talk about Bridgerton, Season 2, Episode 3, which might just happen to be my favorite episode of Bridgerton ever, of all time. Both series. I love it so much. I think it's perfection. So let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Beth. This is the Cool Table. Amy, say hello.
Hey, I'm Amy, and we were delayed because we were all here talking about our injuries. It's officially become like IHOP at 7 a.m. in the morning, like old lady Twitter or old lady. What do we put? We're podcasting. Oh my God. Or is this even a live hangout? I hurt myself and I'm on I don't even know if it's a Vicodin and a Percocet or what it was, but I know that it's got narcotics in it. And it's probably from when I had my C-section.
Oh gosh, is it still good?
Yes.
All right. Have fun. Andy, say hello.
Hi. I injured myself in January. I went to the doctor and they were like, come back in 4 weeks. Whatever. I'm fine now.
We're all hurting. We're all hurting, and Rachel disapproves. Let's just get into it. Let's talk about it. Why is this episode of television perfection?
Because hands, holding hands. I didn't realize until this episode that when she puts his hand on her chest and then she kind of does the same thing back to him. There's like mutual.
Yes,
chesting,
she's
pecking,
trying to calm
like
panic
twirling.
attack down.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
very
and
sexy.
she puts the hand on the. That's a
You
lot.
put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip.
Let's count how many times Amy sings tonight while she's high. That's 2 so far. My favorite thing.
I also think like this is this episode where we really start getting the angst, and I love the angst. So
yeah. So let's dive into it. This episode starts out with Anthony hunting with Edmund, his father. And what cracked me up about it is he's still so Anthony in that moment. He misses this like deer or whatever. And he's like, I fail at every turn. Like that's what he says. I fail at every turn. Why do you have to be perfect at everything at 18?
Is that how old he is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't love his like hair do. It's very like boy band.
Yeah, it's a little too much in the front.
Well, that's how they when you mature, you sweep your hair back, apparently, as per
gotcha.
Bridgerton. Like when he's young, he's like, I'm a baby. Thanks.
I'm just a baby.
I did relate because he's like, you got to show me how you do that. Like whenever I play tennis with my mom and she does this amazing thing, I'll be like, show me how you do that. And then she'll be like, nope.
Yeah, it was very like, I love the guy that's playing Edmund. What's his name, Andy? I know you know his name.
Man in the High Castle. That's Frank Frink.
You don't know.
Rupert Evans. Rupert Evans.
Yes, Rupert Evans. Yes. We've interviewed him at Comic-Con, I think. But anyway,
You did for Man in the High Castle because he played Frank Frink. Shout out to all my Man in the High Castle fans. The last 2 seasons were terrible.
Well, okay.
I didn't watch past the first season of that. But I think that he is so well cast, even though he's only in it for about 30 seconds, because he looks just like Eloise and Gregory.
Mm-hmm. He looks just like Eloise.
Yeah. Like, good for them. Like, good job. Why is the casting so good?
So good.
But I started bawling, and I said this when we did our original Bingerton. I tried not to cry in front of Amy, but I was crying. It was so sad.
Why can't you cry in front of me? I feel like I would be a safe space.
I'm an Enneagram 8. I don't like to show vulnerability.
Oh, gotcha. I like to get mad first and
Mhm.
then feel regret and then show vulnerability. So that wasn't really happening for me. It did bug me that they shot the gun and then he's like, oops, I missed, I suck. And then all of a sudden is like, here comes another deer. Like,
Right. No,
Yeah.
that's not happening. But I do love that, like, I love the change from the book of Anthony being there when he dies, instead of it being, I think it's Daphne who finds him and sits with him, and Anthony comes and finds Daphne, and she's like, "No, he's been dead for a while. We had to sit with his body." Um, so I thought that was a good change since Anthony seems to be the one who's the most affected by it.
hmm
or when she's like screaming at him, Violet's screaming at him, like, go to your brothers and sisters. They can't see him. And he just looks
Mhm.
so bewildered and he doesn't know what to do.
This was such a good scene because one, I actually looked up like how it was Eloise who found him. Thank you, Kendra. I knew it was one of the girls who sits with him, who's like with him for a while. Um, but yeah, I was watching Jonathan Bailey and just like amazed at like the range of things that are happening on his face in the opening scene.
hmm
He's so good. Like I feel like they wrote that scene just to showcase how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody talked about Reggae, and Reggae was great, but I think that he was great because he looked so good. And I mean, Simon was like broody, but to me, Jonathan Bailey is the real deal. He doesn't only look good; like his acting is outrageously good. Like you were so right. Like when they were when Violet tells him to like go away, and then everyone starts coming to him, and you just get the sense of this like lost kid who didn't get a chance to grieve, like Violet is there, like and that was an effective performance too, but like having three kinds of breakdown, and he did not get to grieve his father at all because he had to be everything to everyone. And I thought that he played that so perfectly.
Yeah, there's like I watching him struggle not to cry, also and then like all and he does that throughout the episode. There's several points where he's like purposefully not tearing up, and then the only time you see him with a tear is at the very end when he's got like that painful tree boner. He's like, I just got a boner for her and I don't want her to die. And he rushes off to that tree and there is a tear. And I'm like, he couldn't cry all this time over his dad's death, but realizing that he doesn't want her to die is what gets him over the edge. Like, I was like, it's ridiculously how good it is.
Hashtag tree boner.
Mm-hmm. Santa said Johnny is spot on intensity and facial expressions. And I agree. Michelle,
you can film a thought.
Hi, Michelle. She's new. She just found Bingerton. Hi. This is a great comment. The Viscount is dead. Long live the Viscount.
Well, that's an excellent point because as soon as he's dead, they're just like, here's your new bedroom. What kind of drapes do you want? It's like, slow your roll.
Yeah, when they talked about moving Violet out, I was like, guys, it's an hour.
Yeah. The body's not even cold.
I'm really surprised that they threw that in there. I guess they did that just to say you're the Viscount now.
Yeah. I did like how he said that, like, you're the Viscount now, or however he said it.
But like even expecting him to be the one to make all of those decisions, like he has a steward somewhere. Why is the steward not taking care of making sure that the coffin gets built?
Yeah, that made no sense.
It was a lot.
Right. The closet situation. Do you want California closets? Do you need like a new, like what kind of thread counts do you like on your bed? Would you like to kick your pregnant mother out of her rooms?
Violet was so good as well. Like that whole don't die on me. And I realize that like death scenes are always emotional, but like she just did a great job. And even like when she screams at Anthony, like go, it's still like a mother's voice, but she's still like, that whole scene was so good. I was enraptured.
My dad died unexpectedly, like right before the pandemic. And I was watching this with my mom, and I had to like, it was really rough. Like I had to like turn away from her because she was crying. It was it was a lot. It was
I'm
a lot.
sorry.
But no, it was okay. Like, I mean, but it was so effective. Do you know what I mean? It was just very effective and like very powerful. And yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Especially probably, back then, no one really probably knows about allergies, Benadryl, EpiPens. It's probably just like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, I think they even say in the book, at least, he'd been bitten before. Like, he'd had bee
Mm.
stings before, and it was like, why did this catch him? Which I'm not sure. I think she talks about it in the epilogue a little bit, like how that would happen because her husband's a doctor, and I'm sure he was like, this can happen. But I also looked up like how fast a bee sting can kill you, and it usually takes a couple hours.
Oh,
Even with anaphylaxis, I think. Rachel, tell us. I know Rachel knows.
Anaphylaxis.
thank
Come
you,
on,
Alicia.
if this is a world where you could lay in a coma for 7 days and not have any fluids, and you look, you haven't pissed yourself or you smell wonderful.
Yeah, no bed sores, and you've just been laying there in a coma for
But then, like, what bugged me is I was like, okay, so this is my second time watching it, and then we give Outlander such shit about, especially when they stage nature improperly. I'm like, hyacinths do not bloom at the same time as lavender. Like, all of these flowers, this is just bonkers to me.
Yeah, I noticed when at the very end when Kate runs away and she goes up against that wall, those
Mhm.
were silk flowers, and you could see that they
Oh
were
no,
silk
you
flowers.
could. Oh no.
It was awful. It was bad. I was like, "You look like you're in a Michael's aisle." Like, you're flat out inside a Hobby Lobby right now.
It makes me want to try out that. I mean, it's way passe now, but like for a few years ago, girls would go into like the Michaels aisle and like stage themselves like with a selfie.
Oh, in front of
I
all
was
the
like,
flowers.
yes. But my Michaels is grossly understocked. The pandemic has ruined my Michaels and probably every Michaels because
Yeah.
container ships coming in from China and stuff. So like I was just noticing the other day, like, oh, they finally have some spring flowers, but
Mm.
that's because I go to Michael's like every other day.
Oh, I never go. Brett had a good point. Interesting parallel between the Featheringtons and the Bridgertons in terms of the new heir taking over and moving the matriarch out of her rooms. Yes. And also just like how the Featheringtons reacted to their dad's death in relation to how the Bridgertons, reacted to theirs. You could also hear Daphne when Violet is giving birth to Hyacinth. You can hear Daphne singing to her siblings to like drown out the noise of Violet like violently giving birth.
She was
That scene was
singing
amazing too.
She was singing lavender blue dilly dilly.
Oh, really?
Which
Mhm.
I actually didn't realize was an actual folk song. I thought that was just flat out like something that Disney did.
Mhm.
And then it was in the live action Cinderella too, which just reinforced me being like, oh, Disney, obviously. But then
Mm.
she was singing it and I was like, oh, I guess it's a real folk song. That's what
I
I
didn't know
know.
that either.
Disney, okay, groomer.
Sheila just said
No.
Sheila just said, it happened to my brother recently talking about bees. It's been stung many times, and a bee got him on the golf course, and he was down, survived, but spent time in an ambulance hospital.
That's crazy, Sheila. Glad he's
Sheila,
okay.
I think this is a reason just to not to play golf.
I agree. That and it's bad for the environment.
Golf
I know.
is? Oh,
Well,
water.
you think about like places like Vegas. Yeah, water.
True. I didn't think of it.
Hmm.
But yeah, the birth scene was incredibly well written, not just well acted. Just the idea, like everything that Violet is saying, scene, like that he should be there, like Anthony doing everything he can not to cry, letting the decision be up to his mother, but like her just being like, I gave birth to him in this room from this body. Like it was just such a well written moment. And the fact that there's just like some asshole doctor there saying that it has to be the Viscount who makes the choice between the mother and the baby. And then they don't even like let us know. Obviously, we know Hyacinth and they both live, but like how? Like what happened that night? She just gave birth to a breech baby.
External version. I had one. I turned the
Really?
baby. Mm-hmm.
Did that hurt? Were you like Were you like screaming? Oh my god.
No, I wasn't in. No. I wasn't in actual labor when they realized the baby was breech. So I was.
Okay.
They turned her. They do it manually with their fingers on the outside. Yes, it hurts like a motherfucker, but they do it very, very quickly because and they do it with the ultrasound on. And they turn you're literally upside down to pull the baby like out of your rib cage. It was probably took about 5 minutes, but yeah, it was agony.
Good for you, girl.
But it's
I
all
thought-
external. Like there's no, I don't know what they happen to Violet. I mean, maybe sometimes they stick hands up in there and I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to be dilated to get a hand in there to like move the baby around. Yikes, bikes.
I've not had kids, y'all, so I am right now like
I thought stripping your membranes hurt, but that sounds much worse.
What I loved in that scene though was Violet was advocating for herself too.
Yes.
She wasn't just like some like mousy, it's okay. You can kill me as long as my baby lives. I hate Edwina, so I feel like that's what Edwina would say.
Yeah, she'd be like, whatever the Viscount wants.
Whatever he wants. And she was like, what's the husband's name? Oh my God, I totally just blanked.
Edmund.
Edmund, he loved me. He
Mhm.
wouldn't let me die. And also, like, you got 400 million other kids.
Mhm. But she never even says that. She doesn't say she says Edmund loves me, but she doesn't say like he would choose me.
Right. But I feel
Right.
like she was implying that.
I thought so too, but I also love that they left it open.
Yeah.
Like that she doesn't have it's not that she knows he would save her because as a mother, she doesn't necessarily want herself saved. She knows that he would make the right choice for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which obviously would be Violet, but at
Right.
the same time, like, she doesn't have to she didn't want to have to think about it. She didn't want to make the decision, but she was having to fight to get to make the decision. And it was just such good writing that it was left ambiguous, but yet at the same time, you knew. It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are talking all about breech babies. Look, I didn't have a breech baby, but I did quit pushing after my second daughter's head was out. And the nurses were like, you have to keep pushing. And I was like, nah, I'm done. And they were like, got with their elbows on my belly like this, like a WWE fight to get that baby out because I was not doing it. Yeah.
I was told I have a cervix that's shaped like a mail slot. And so Ruby had no interest in going down that direction. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad they told you that.
She was extracted. She was hanging on to my rib cage the whole time.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
3 weeks late. And I'm a good host. And don't judge me, but I ate a ton of hot dogs while I was pregnant and she liked them.
Yeah. Well, I watched my birthing video once when some friends came over. They were pregnant and they wanted to see it.
You have a video of it?
Yeah, of
Oh.
Emerson, my second. Ella's video goes from me like in labor, like just sitting there like to like us holding her.
That's the perfect video.
But Emerson's is the whole thing. And I don't get embarrassed very easily. It takes a lot to like actually embarrass me. I'd have to like wet fart in front of like people I care about to be really
Barack
embarrassed.
Obama.
Right. But like I was mortified because I was such a baby and just it was not a cute like scripted birth scene. I wasn't like screaming at Ryan. I wasn't like saying it hurt. I was just like, I can't do this. I was mortified. It was so embarrassing.
Jamie says that Ruby was waiting to be a Capricorn. That's so true. It is.
Yeah.
I have had that conversation with her dad many times. I'm like, she was not a Sagittarius. She was like, I'm a Capricorn.
Yay, Capricorns. We are the best.
Mm.
Oh, this line right here. The Viscount is a child. Oh, yes. 100%.
Child.
I mean, honestly, my daughter is 17. Anthony's supposed to be 18 at this moment. And if my daughter was making medical decisions for me, you think I would not pop right up out of the grave and be like, absolutely not. She doesn't wipe her cream cheese off her knives before she puts them in the sink. She cannot make medical decisions.
Do you ever wonder about things like that they do? Like, do you think that there are things like that we did as children that we've never really resolved as adults, like wiping the cream cheese off the knife? Like, I feel like Gilles can never close a cabinet, or like Ruby has, annoying things that she does. But like, I would love to ask my mom, like, are there things that you thought I would figure out as an adult?
I wonder, I couldn't ask my mom this question because she's I like, in she cannot give a compliment. This woman is incapable of giving
Okay.
compliments. So if I were to say, "Is there anything that I still do that I did as a kid that you're like, I can't believe you haven't grown out of that yet?" She would have a running list of things, you know? Like
She's
I
a
still
PowerPoint presentation of all the ways you annoyed her and still
yeah.
do.
Like I twist my hair into knots. I've been doing that since I was a baby, and I
Mm.
just twist into knot. And she would probably say that. That'd be her first one. "Well, you still twist your hair. You're just gonna lose it all. You don't quit it." You know? My husband still blows his nose in the shower, leaves whatever happens to it on the wall, and gets the fuck out.
Uh, like have the like that's fine to do the snot rocket, but have the courtesy to rinse it off.
Has never rinsed snot off the shower wall once. Never.
At Clemson, my freshman year in the dorm, we had suites. So there were 6 rooms per bathroom suite. It was like, double stalls, 2 showers. And the girl that I went to high school with was in my suite, and she was a cheerleader and she was the homecoming queen and a very sweet and wonderful person, but also incredibly perfect. And I'll never forget that first week of us living together and realizing that she was a snot rocket in the shower person. And I was just like, I felt like, yeah, you nasty.
Felt good to have something on her.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't ever recall walking in the shower and being like, Carrie does not rinse her snot rockets off the wall.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I don't think I would enjoy someone's bloody boogers, but you must love him.
I do love him very much.
Oh
Alicia
my God, my dad is literally calling me right now. He probably
Aw.
just like,
Alicia just
George.
asked her mom what it is she still has going on that she had as a kid, and she said her mother said, "You still think you're the boss?"
okay, here's George calling me now on the landline.
Oh, the
I'll mute.
landline. Oh, George. My dad doesn't call me, so there we go. And Anthony's dad doesn't call him because he can't.
Mine
Um,
either. Maybe they're
aw,
hanging
yeah.
together. Edmund and Big Ed. Well, they're both Ed.
Really?
Yes, my
Ed
dad
was
was
your
not
dad
Edmund, though. He was an
Edward?
Edward.
Mhm.
Born Ettore, Ettore, very Italian, and they took him to his little Catholic school, my grandmother, Teresa, and they said, the church said, "You can't that's not a saint's name. We can't enroll him at this school." So she was like, "Oh, we call my husband Eddie, so just Edward, that's fine." So then my dad's documents were all fucked up and he had to fix it like in his 30s. So dumb.
What was his real name? His first name?
Ettore.
Oh.
Yeah. So weird.
Oh, I hate when they leave the message like, give me a call when you get a chance. I'm like, oh, who died?
Aw.
Oh yeah, when they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Just tell me. I can't take it. Just tell
I'm
me."
hoping it's that he can't remember my Netflix password, and that's just all I have to do.
My dad's always like, "Can Ryan come over and fix the dishwasher?" And I'm like, "Call Ryan." So now he just calls Ryan. So I don't get phone calls anymore. That's how that works.
That's funny.
So we get to everybody's coming to Aubrey Hall. We should talk more about this episode. And Kate is in the little carriage with Edwina, and they're talking about Anthony. And she's like acting kind of like she's okay with the way that Edwina is expecting the weekend to go. She's not mad. She's not like trying to stop her. And Lady Danbury's like, like, go to this weekend with an open mind. And Kate's like, okay. Like it almost seems like she doesn't care at this point.
Or maybe it's like because it's a house party, and those are notorious like orgy town. And she's just like, I'm gonna see
Ooh,
what
yeah,
happens
maybe.
for myself.
Yeah, because it's the whistle down voiceover in that moment, right after Lady Danbury tells her to have an open mind, is something like, being out in the country is always physically invigorating. And that's like when you see Kate's face and then like she's like, yeah, I'll have an open mind. Maybe I'll go to D-Town.
Or maybe it just adds more stakes to the Pall Mall scene because she's like, all right, I'll play nice. And then they get to the Pall Mall scene,
Yeah, that's good.
during which Edwina acts like a total Beth during birth going, I can't do this.
Yeah, she's definitely a drip during Pall Mall.
A drip. Oh my God, Andy. That is exactly what she is. She's a drip.
Total drip. And I think it's very funny. Like, I wrote that. Like, it was one of the things that I was like starred because it's so clear she just does not fit in at all. And like, you can see it not just on like every Bridgerton's face, on Anthony's face, even on Kate's face. You know, like when Kate smacks that first ball and is like, yippee, you know, like jumps up and down. Like, you can see Eloise is like, yep. And then Edwina's like, and you're like, God damn, man, nope.
As a non-sports person, I identified with Edwina in this scene because
I knew it.
there were times in my life where the boys wanted to play kickball and there were the girls who were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get dirty. And I was kind of like, but my kids are white right now. And if I play kickball on this dirt baseball diamond, my kids will no longer be white. And I played along, but I didn't kick it hard because I didn't want to kick up too much dust. So I felt for her because there were times where it's just you aren't sporty enough to be cool. And that is a shitty feeling.
And I
when
would think
everybody
that
else around
Eloise
you is.
Yeah. There had to be at least one Bridgerton who is not sporty. So, I mean, Daphne, her stroke is horrifying. I mean, of course she's there to like, reclaim her crown for the second year. But yeah, like maybe they could have thrown her a bone, like and have Eloise been like, oh, he fucking sucks, huh?
Yeah, I think that's probably Francesca, and she was gone. Francesca's, they got rid of her. She was in the scene when Daphne comes in with the baby, and she has the one line, sister, and then come look at the baby. And then as soon as they come out of the building, out of the hall of the house to
You never see her again.
She was in the room with the baby, and when they come out of the house to greet the Danberries and the Sharmas, Francesca's not with the group anymore. Like they just figured there's enough of them where no one will notice.
Yeah.
Fitch was not in that scene. She just disappears from Albee Hall altogether, and they just hoped we wouldn't notice. Unbelievable.
And then I did feel a little bit for Edwina, and then I felt for her later when she was getting her scalp massage because she isn't really trying to decide what she wants or she likes. She's trying to be perfect so Anthony will like her. And so she can't truly enjoy herself or truly be herself to where she can kind of just let that relationship happen naturally. It reminds me very much of that part during Sex in the City where Ruby, that's my daughter, when Carrie was so into being big, she could never like relax. And then she farted. It wasn't a wet fart, Beth, but she farted in bed. And then she was like, he's not calling me back because I farted. Like she couldn't be human and a person. And what's her name? Miranda had to yell at her like, it's not about the fart. Like she like, forget about what Big wants. Like, what do you want? And so this whole time Edwina is just trying to be perfect, presentable for Anthony to like her. And so I've been in that kind of position before and I've totally related to her. I still don't like her.
Speaking of the non-athletic part, so here's the thing. I am the least athletic human on the face of the planet, but I am quite competitive. And is croquet really a sport? Like, even though I am not sporty, if it was a croquet mallet and they stuck that in my hand, I'd be like, yeah, bitch, I am winning this. Like, woo! And I would have been as aggressive as anyone else. It's not like they asked her to like go like take a cross country ride and like fox hunt, something that would have required like really sporting skills that would be required for it. They didn't ask her to play tennis, like they asked her to like play croquet and she was miserable at it. Like she was like, I'm the worst. And like, you're like, Edwina, could you just, maybe like Isabella just said, I think she's just not competitive. Yeah. And I think
that's what it's meant to show. It's meant to show that she does not have the same spirit as the Bridgertons. Like it's not just that she doesn't fit with Anthony. She doesn't fit in with the rest of them. She's not going to fit the way that they do things. And that's what it's meant to show. So, and it works because she looks uncomfortable and makes you hate her.
Yeah.
Because she's like simpering or something. But I get it
Yeah.
because there's some people like, if you don't if you don't know how to ski and people and your friends are like, let's go ski. At least you have the après ski. You can just go sit at the bar and hang out, which I guess she kind of did. But then, you're still hanging out with the mamas.
Yeah. It kills me because it is so uncomfortable. And yet here's what my favorite part of it is that when she decides to leave, Colin has to nudge Anthony to get him to go to her and say, "Oh, do you want me to
I'll
come
stop
sit with
too.
you?" Yeah, like I'll stop. Well,
Mhm.
and like then when Kate's ball goes off into the rhododendron hell, and they're like, "Or you can go retrieve it." She's like, "Okay," and he follows her. Like Colin doesn't have to tell him anything. He is right there with her, and like
Mhm.
it's just like when they came in from the carriage she separates and looks at the house and she has this like Elizabeth Bennet Pemberley moment where she's like, this place ain't bad. Like I could see myself living here and being the mistress of this house.
Yeah.
She's admiring it. And he comes out and beelines direct. He is directly looking at her the entire time, comes and speaks to her first, doesn't even realize that Edwina has stepped out of the carriage, which is
Well,
why
that's why I
Daphne's
love
able to come over and be like,
Yes,
Edwina.
Daphne, yes. This must be her, which I feel like is the only reason that Daphne is even in this season to just be like, "You love this girl."
Yeah.
Well,
I did
because
wonder
when
what this scene would go ahead.
sorry, when Daphne makes the scene about the scene with him, she has the conversation about love, and she specifically says it's you cannot look away from that person. It does not matter where that person is,
Mm.
your eyes will find them. You can, and that is Anthony with her every single time. He just cannot stop looking at her and
Yeah.
being aware of her in his orbit at all times.
There
Yeah.
were so
And she
many
says you
good
can't
wedding
breathe.
vow potentials.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, there
yes.
is no
Yeah.
air. You are my mouse lamp. There's just so many good things. There was no
Yeah.
bee. It's just
Yeah.
a sting.
Yeah. When Daphne tells him to, like, you can't breathe without that person or around that person until you're able to put your mouth on their mouth. And then he experiences that with the bee scene. And it becomes a whole thing where he's like, oh shit, I love her. But I've already like promised to tell Edwina I was going to marry her so much. But yes, you're 100% right that Daphne only exists to be the little Jiminy Cricket on his shoulder throughout this season. And it bothers me because I feel like if Regé Jean had like been in this fucking episode, how much better would the Paul Mall have scene been? I mean, it couldn't have gotten much better. It was pretty good. But like Benedict and Colin had this one little aside where he talks about the art or whatever. But like there would have been tons of asides of Daphne and Simon and Anthony, and Simon even being the one who recognizes what's going on between Anthony and
Mhm.
Kate. And that just would have been so rich. And the fact that we didn't get it like pisses me off.
I
Do they
love that.
ever even say, like, where he is? Like, he's off at his platinum mine or
No, she
something.
doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
She doesn't say
I
anything.
love Alicia. I love that part where Daphne, the look that Daphne gives him at dinner when he says something across the table to Kate, and Daphne's like she fully susses it out like right away.
Oh
It's
yeah.
the best.
It's because when you first see him at dinner, he is touching his mouth while looking at her. He could not be more horny for her. He is dying to just put something in his mouth, and that something is Kate. And the closest he can get is his own fucking finger. He's just like, looking at her. And Daphne's like, damn, calm your horniness down. This is the dinner table.
Mm.
Hyacinth is here. But,
And they're drinking. Hyacinth and the other little dude.
Were
When
they?
they're doing the cheers, yeah, they all have wine in their glasses. And I thought, is that what happened back
Maybe. I thought they drank milk back then until they were
then?
like
Or like
14.
lemonade. I feel like every Regency romance, they're like, can I get you a glass of lemonade?
Alicia said her notes say Anthony is super horny for Kate at dinner. He was.
Does everyone call him, does everyone in the house call him different? Like some people call him Anthony and then some people call him Antony.
I think they do say it different the whole
Yeah.
time because I say both.
Right. Because Daphne
But
is very specific. Antony. But I feel like there's
Yeah.
more of a there's more of an Ibiza sound from Violet.
Yeah, I think it just changes. I don't know. I don't think it's consistent.
Just call him Tony. Andy, you're the Italian. You love that. Tony.
Hey, Tony, what are you doing?
We skipped over the rhododendron hell scene and the swamp scene or whatever that is supposed to be.
That was so cute.
Remember
love
how
it.
we used to think that like what do you call it? Oh my god, quicksand used to be like a problem. We finally got like quicksand back in. Like I'm stuck, and then they were having mud wrestling. No one does mud wrestling anymore.
No. It was a great little moment. Like the fact that they just like start cracking each other up and he looks at her and he's like, I may have underestimated you.
Mm.
And she should have looked at him and said, well, maybe you should estimate me.
I don't know, Beth. Usually I like your changes, but I'm gonna have to say no to that one.
Yeah. That one would have been very cheesy.
And then they went to the mall and bought one of those, like in remembrance of, because I'm assuming that's not where he's buried. I'm assuming he's buried in a churchyard somewhere.
Well, Eloise says like that's her dad's grave later on.
Oh, it
So,
is.
hey,
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
It is a weird place to bury him, I think.
I mean,
think he'd be with
digging,
all the
like
other
trying
Viscounts.
to dig around those roots for
Yeah, that would have been.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
Tara said that Simon is wherever Francesca is.
Good job, Tara.
That was a good one.
Francesca.
They just threw them out the window that Benedict opens and almost jumps out of. Speaking of Benedict and Colin, they are doing drugs in the nursery.
I love that.
Discuss. Why are they in the nursery? They don't have their own bedrooms at Aubrey Hall. I'm sure it's bigger than the London house.
Is there an extra room? A
would you
study?
Maybe it just makes them feel, like young and carefree again. And I don't know. I
Maybe
liked
it's the only
like watching
place-
them do shrooms in front of the bassinet.
Maybe it's the only place nobody will be. Like nobody's going to come in there.
I like to do drugs in my own bed with a book, but I also don't do psychedelics, so I don't know.
Why are
Where's
they in the
Daphne's
nursery?
baby?
That's where Daphne's baby should be. So are they watching Daphne's baby and doing shrooms?
But what was it really? I thought it was opium. It's a powder that there's shrooms that he just dumps in
It
his
definitely
tea?
wasn't opium.
Okay.
I mean, the intention might have been opium, but as someone who's currently on an opiate right now, it was not opium.
Okay.
I'm not finger painting on opiates. But it looked to me like, it was like the purple powder or whatever. Like, isn't opium? I don't know. I don't know anything. I thought opium was
I don't know
white.
anything. I don't know anything about drugs.
I think it was
guys.
supposed
I really
to be some
don't,
kind of
so-
psychedelic because the way that he was
Yeah.
like looking at his hand and stuff, but also
think it says
hashish.
hashish.
Oh, was it hashish?
Maybe.
I've only
What
seen
does that do to you?
It's like super weed.
Okay.
Yeah. Where's Rach? Tell us what it was, Rachel.
But
Michelle
also
says definitely for not a downer like opium. Yeah.
But didn't you think that also his painting was like something like when you go to one of those wine painting parties? I was like, this is terrible. You do not deserve. And I'm not going to say the drugs made you do it because I'm sure that Van Gogh was on some good shit, when he painted his stuff. And that was just hot garbage. That wasn't even
so bad.
home goods art.
No, it was really, really bad. It was very bad.
I thought he was just ahead of
it was
his
great.
time. It was like modern art. Come on. He was like expressionist before expressionism was a thing.
And then when
think
he
that's
opened
the
up the
point
window,
is that he thought it was great, but it wasn't, and that was meant to show that he was super high.
and then he needed some training. He needed to go to art school.
Yeah,
I wanted
Anna
him
just
to
said,
open the window and have someone yell at him to shut the fuck up.
yeah. She said the painting made me think of the mask for a masquerade ball. It definitely looked like something you could get on Bourbon Street. Just add some beads to it.
That's good.
$49.99 on Bourbon Street.
my
Somebody's selling that.
God. Yes.
What if it's a placebo and Colin was playing a trick? I don't think Colin has enough personality at this point in the show to pull anything like that off. It's unfortunate, but that boy is boring.
It wasn't ayahuasca because before you take that, you have to puke. I mean, after you take that. So ayahuasca makes you puke and then you have your experience.
Oh, yeah. Did they do that on the Nexium documentary? Is that what I saw? There's a whole other documentary altogether. Cult
Well,
documentary.
I think they did it on the Goop documentary.
I didn't watch that one.
But if you listen to Howard Stern, his sidekick Robin once went to Peru and did ayahuasca, and she says it changed her life, but there is puking involved.
Rachel said the popular drugs of the time were peyote and mescaline, poppies, and opium. I have not heard the term peyote since my high school health class when they were telling us all the dangers of all the drugs. I have not seen peyote since 1997.
Did they say it like peyote, or like how when James Dobson would call it like heavy petting, but he called it puberty? Are we going through puberty and feel like heavy petting with some peyote? Andy, you were not raised Protestant evangelical, and you're better for it.
That's right.
Okay.
You're not missing out on any James Dobson morning meals.
No.
I wrote down here because we haven't talked about the Featheringtons at all. I wrote justice.
Yes, I have a whole thing about them.
I wrote justice for Prudence. Like, I really
she
like
deserves
her.
somebody nice. I like her too.
She deserves somebody nice.
I think it's because the actress is good.
Yes.
She makes Prudence have like some accessibility, and we can identify with her because the other actress kind of doesn't. I don't really care about Philippa at all, but Prudence, I want her. She deserves somebody that gets her. I don't think that, like, other than her singing or whatever, she's not like a bad catch. I don't think.
Right.
She's not like
she's
ugly
beautiful.
stepsister or anything like she's supposed to be. Kind of like mean or stupid or what. She's just. I mean, she's a little dense, but they're not the worst people in the world.
No.
And I feel like when you're in that kind of household, it pays to play dense because anything that you do is going to piss off your mother. So you just might as well play stupid at everything.
Yeah. Michelle just said Prudence was hilarious this season. Even in the background, she had some great faces. I read today that I think she did an interview, the actress, where in the wedding scene, like when the wedding is called off and everybody's outside, you see her playing with like some ponies. And Prudence just didn't have anything to do. And so she went up to Tom Verica, the director, and said, "Hey, can I go play with those ponies?" As Prudence, and he was like, "Knock yourself out." And so when you see her like chilling with those horses, the actress was just like, "I need something fun to do," and that's what she chose. And yeah, so that was all her.
That's great.
But what do we think about the Cowpers? Watching this episode, I already knew that the new Lord Featherington was going after Cowper for her money because he asks like about her siblings, and he's just like buttering her up too much for somebody he's never met and all of that stuff. But it made me wonder why Cressida is not married already. Why is she so
exactly? Because they're rich and she's gorgeous.
Yes. Like,
I guess
she had not been she wants to get married so badly. Last year it was the prince, and she just wants somebody so badly. How has a fortune hunter not snatched her up yet?
Well, I think here's the thing. So how has a fortune hunter not snatched her up? It's possible that the Featherington, the parents are trying to prevent her from getting trapped by a fortune hunter, because technically they think that Lord Featherington is wealthy. So it's just possible that they were like, no poor people. And, they're trying to find someone they think is worthy of her. I don't know.
So if you take the fortune hunter out of it, she still is gorgeous and of a good family and has money. And it just doesn't make sense. This is at least her second season, if not her third out.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't make any sense.
Are you supposed to believe her her mean disposition is what's preventing her from getting married?
Yeah, you might believe that, but I feel like that wouldn't really fly.
And
In
she's a
in
bitch.
yeah.
And the books are much meaner to Penn. I meant to that. Not that
Yeah.
that wasn't a good comment, Alicia, but I meant this one. Cressida in the books ends up marrying an old man who tricked them into thinking he was wealthy.
Hmm.
But I really like the scene where she's sitting outside and everybody's reading Lady Whistledown and talking about how ugly her dress is, and her mom's trying to cover her up.
That's funny. It was
It's just
great.
comedy, guys. It's just situational comedy. It works
Yeah.
really super well. And at the same time, you're getting Penelope's like plan to get into the Modiste's good graces and to get her to help her with her whole thing. So like
Mhm.
I love that they're just like giving us the comedy, giving us what we need, but also like moving everything forward with Penelope. It was good.
Did you think it was a little there was one more thing I wanted to go back to about Edwina, but since we're on Penelope and this whole situation with the Modiste, I thought that like when I went back, I didn't think about this, like Penelope like working this out with Madame de Lafarge or whatever her name is. And I know it's not that.
LaCroix? What is it? I forget.
LaCroix.
It is Delacroix.
Delacroix. Apricot Delacroix.
So it was so it struck me as so mercenary and mean of Penn to like literally not give a shit that she's putting this other woman from Vienna like just straight out of business. She don't care at all, you know. She didn't even have a qualm about it. So she's a little mercenary.
But I like
I
it though
mean,
because like women
yeah.
gotta do what they gotta do. It was like the scene when they were in the nursery with Eloise, and she's just having to sit there listen to her brother talk about how he's going off to art school and how Colin just came back from Greece and she can't do shit. So I kind of don't really mind Penn being mercenary.
Yeah, and I mean, Jane Austen at the time was kind of talked about having the same acerbic, way with her pen. Like she got her community and her society so well and wrote them so specifically, and people were unhappy with how acerbic she was in a lot of ways. And I mean, we don't read those now and think that they're like overly. But I mean, you're right. She totally probably destroys that person's livelihood. But she's been doing it all along. Like it's just not usually like a tradesperson. It's usually like the queen or
Yeah.
somebody with a ton of money. Yeah. Yeah. That does kind of suck a little bit. But she's not really like she's not a socialist or anything. She's just a gossip monger.
I mean, a lie does start to snowball after a while, you know.
Yeah. You gotta keep it all going. You wanted to talk about Edwina some more? I wanted to talk about the scene with Edwina and Anthony on the couch with the mamas sitting there like listening in.
This is the scene that I want to address with Edwina, okay? So, I just got dumped right before Christmas, but I'm a sad sack, right? I got to stop talking about all the bad things that have happened to me. I apologize. I got dumped right before Christmas. This guy, I have spent my entire 41 years avoiding a mess where I get my heart involved and I run away from any possibility of love. It's just my MO. I don't like it. I don't want anyone to get close to me. I don't know why. So much therapy I need. And this guy was fully able to break down every wall that I had by just being a goddamn human being. And like when Edwina is talking to Kate after this, I was like, holy shit, that was it. Like this guy, I felt like fully loved bombed me. And I feel like same shit's happening to Edwina. She is falling for Anthony because she's like, he listened to me. And I was like, that's how they fucking do it, man. They get you because the bar is so low. It is such a low bar. He would remembered that I talked about a book, and you're like, and I feel all of this. She's head over heels in love with him because he listened to her.
Not even remembered that she talked about a book. He was willing to let her say that she liked books and maybe tell him a story from one.
Yeah, that's it. The bar is
on the floor.
On the floor.
Yes, I will allow you to be a Barnes & Noble member and get 20% off hardcovers.
Yeah, that's it. This guy listened to me once talk about a movie. We went on a second date. He had watched the fucking movie. I was in love.
That would work for sure. You took 2 hours, 90 minutes, 2 hours out of your day. What can I ask? What movie it was? Do you
It was
remember?
a fucking Marvel movie, Amy. He has
Wait,
never.
You didn't make him go for the A24, something really crazy.
No,
You didn't ask him to watch Philomena.
no. It was Captain America: The First Avenger. He had
Oh.
never seen a Marvel movie. He watched a Marvel movie. Suddenly, my panties were gone. I don't know what happened.
The sacrifice.
The
I would
bar
like to
was
introduce you to some men at Comic-Con this summer, Andy. They've
every
all seen
time,
all
man.
of them.
But why can't I meet men at Comic-Con? Explain it to me.
You don't come to
Oh.
BarCon with us.
Well, I guess I'm going this summer.
Okay. That's what we're doing.
We've already missed New York, Andy, but next year, Ruby and I will come down. We'll meet you for New York.
Perfect. I'm ready. Let's do
So
it.
what kills me about that scene too, you're 100% right about Edwina, but when she tells Anthony that she has a mind of her own, there's two things happen at this moment where she's just like, I'm okay with my own thoughts. So even when I'm going to be alone, if you're out like doing whatever, I'll be okay because I'm used to this. Violet's ears pick up immediately. She starts listening because now Violet is invested in this young lady. But also, it sounds like Edwina is parroting something that Kate has told her specifically to say, or Kate really is. Like, I didn't get the feeling that Edwina really felt that way, only that she's been like pushed to feel that way. You know?
Interesting.
But it doesn't matter because that bitch is not in game. So let's continue.
She gets a free scalp massage.
That was
That
nice.
looked awesome, by the way. That looked like
I
it
was
just would
jealous.
feel so
It made me
good.
hate her even more. I'm like, you're so twee and perfect and your little snatched waist. And then now you're getting your spinster sister to rub your head with oil.
Yeah. Alicia said, when she tells Anthony that, I screamed at her, where is that mind of her own and why isn't she using it? And Santa said, yeah, it's like she falls in love in day one. Brett said, I love Violet.
Sorry, go ahead. Read that.
No, go ahead.
I said, but that is so key though for being truly happy in a relationship. Having being able to be alone and having your own thing. But you're right. She doesn't seem like the kind of person, at least at this moment, who can do that.
Right.
She's very like, would you like?
It's gross. And I love Lady Danbury and Violet's reaction to that combo. And I love that they're eavesdropping on the doors afterwards while they talk to their siblings. I thought that was cute. That scene was actually really cute. Michelle said that scene reminded me to grease my scalp. Yeah. I have a mask in my shower that I haven't done in a couple weeks, and it's time.
Ooh, what is it?
It's from Pros. I bet the Bulletin did that like pros.com where you do that.
You gave them
custom
your
hair
zip
care.
code stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I have shitty hair. It doesn't matter.
Are we going to say today we have a discount if you type in mouse lamp 27, you get a discount code at Pros.
Okay, so Kate.
Don't try that. It's not going to work, guys.
Don't try that. Kate's making chai at one point in the scene.
Oh, I loved that. Yep.
When she's talking to Eloise, which I really liked because she hates the English tea. And when Eloise asks her what it's like to be a spinster, Kate does not make it sound like spinsterhood is great. She does not sound like she enjoys it. Like she's just like, I'm doing my best, but she doesn't,
Because her real answer is like, I just want Edwina to get married to some dude so I can go back to India and be alone.
Yeah.
Pick your country, Eloise. Come with me.
Yeah. The grief scene at the obelisk with Violet and Anthony, I thought was really, really good. Because it starts out with that scene where she's like, I'm doing my best, which I thought was such a beautiful, beautiful, like beautifully written scene on grief. Whoever wrote this episode has truly experienced real deep grief, because the fact that she's like, I bathed today. Don't ask me to come to family dinner.
Just like I
Like,
put on this ugly ass outfit that I got at the dress barn in Fall
yeah,
River.
that is the ugliest dress anybody's ever worn on this show.
Ugly.
So bad. It actually looked like a little bit like a dressing gown because it had like a little belt or something.
Yeah.
Mm.
But and then for him to say later when they're talking about it on the bench, he's like, "You were barely there. You didn't have to, but I'm remembering every single moment. You were barely there. And I don't want to do that." This is the closest they get to the real reason Anthony doesn't want to have love in his marriage and from the books, which is he thinks he's going to die the same age as his dad. But this is the closest they get to that where they say, where he says, "I'm not going to do that to somebody else. I don't want to be the cause of that much grief. So
Mm.
I'm not going to let anybody love me like that." And I thought that was a really great scene.
But it's like he's also trying to protect himself from ever feeling that kind of grief.
Yes.
So then I was screaming at him like in my mind, don't have kids, like, or don't have siblings, or don't have family, or don't have nieces and nephews. Like, you cannot protect yourself from what you're trying to protect yourself from. Now, on the
Right.
show, they've made it seem a lot more plausible that he really has these feelings of wanting to protect himself as compared to in the books. We don't really buy it. But yeah, I was just like, this is just being in a relationship with anybody that you love and care about.
Yep.
You want to
Yep,
have a
totally.
wife, you want Edwina to bear your babies. If anything happens to those babies, you will be feeling the exact same thing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Especially in an era where children and women died so readily.
Right.
Like, the Bridgerton family is an anomaly. It's not
Right, that
the
they all live to adulthood.
yeah.
You know, but like I think that's clear to him too. It's not he doesn't want to cause the grief to someone else. I think that's what slams into him too when Kate gets stung by the bee. It's his own feelings that he's trying to protect. Like it's not them. It's not like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I
being
don't want to."
selfish.
Yeah,
Yes, he's really being selfish.
exactly.
It's not like I want to protect you because you love me so much. It's like I don't ever want to experience that.
Again.
Yeah. Again, yeah, because he has. Like, he's had like, he experienced all of that grief in this moment. Did y'all catch that she says that lilacs are Edmund's favorite flower and lilacs is what Kate smells like?
No, she smells like
Oh, I
lilies, I
didn't.
thought.
No, I
Lilies.
thought
I
it was
thought she
lilacs.
lilies.
It's lilies
God
because
damn
lilies
it.
smell like a funeral to
Funeral.
me.
I said that too. I was like, she smells like lilies. That doesn't seem.
I'm so sorry.
Should
But
have
you
been
know,
fucking lilac.
whatever your kink is.
She talks about
Funereal.
hyacinths too.
Who has funereal kink? Anybody?
Uh, what's the rule of the internet? If you think it, someone's kinked it. Like,
Mhm.
yeah. There
Your
has
kink is
to
not my kink, but your kink is okay.
there has to be like someone has like a vat of embalming fluid, but it's really lube,
Ah!
and then you do it on in a casket.
No. Oh gosh.
So
If
we
you've
live near
ever
we live near a funeral home. I should have pointed it out. Well, not well. It's near my house, and so
we did point out the funeral home. Yeah, you did.
so it has like a big garage door that's like underground, and sometimes you'll be driving by and they'll like and they'll be driving something down in there, and I always just want to like pause and stop and be like, "What's happening in there?"
Who's dead
It's not
today?
sexual for me, but I just find it fascinating.
Mm. Okay. So we talked a
No,
little bit about the
Santa,
dinner.
he was picking hyacinth. It wasn't lilacs. Lilacs come from a tree, and he was picking a hyacinth, which is like a bulb plant. Hi,
Yeah, I think he
this
was
is
picking hyacinth.
gardening corner with
Michelle agrees.
Amy.
Oh, is that why they name her Hyacinth? Because he was picking hyacinths when he died? That's ugh.
I think it
Dark.
was just a coincidence. But it had to have an H name, and Violet didn't have Edmund's input, so it was just like the last, and she's
So
grieving.
she was like, he was picking those when he died, so Hyacinth it is.
Yeah.
Awkward.
So
So,
Santa says, "What funerals have you been going to?" My daughter and I had this interesting conversation the other day. There's a house near ours that has a ghost bike in front of it, which means that somebody was died on a bike. And they people like get a bike, they paint it white, and then they put like flowers and stuff. And to me, there's no greater marketing campaign for stop biking than these ghost bikes, but they put them up. And so I saw it the other day and I said to Ruby, don't you ever do that if I like down a bike or as a pedestrian or anything. Like, I hate that stuff. And she was just like, she knows me so well. She's like, we're not going to have a funeral for you. We're not going to play Britney Spears. We're not going to play Celine Dion. We're just going to come in and like see your dead body. And then we're going to leave. Cause she knows that I do not want an open casket. And I was like, okay, Capricorn, cold.
I keep asking my parents, I'm like, y'all just want to be cremated, right? And they're like, no, they're, religious. They think they have to be buried. I'm like, you sure? You sure you just don't want to kick it out?
And how do religious people get around that idea? Like, what happens if you die in an explosion or like you're bombed or you blow up?
Are you serious? They think it doesn't matter. Like that's fine because that was God's will for how you died. But if you choose, even dead, to do something else with your body, then you have made a choice that was not God's will for your bones.
But then in the end, they're dead. They're not choosing. So you do whatever you want, Beth.
We'll see. We'll see. Anything else we need to talk about? The proposal, truncated, cock-blocked by his feelings proposal. Another perfect Jonathan Bailey acting performance.
That was shitty. Because right when he stood up, if you watch the scene, and he looks down like her mom, like, it's funny. So it was kind of cruel, actually.
Yeah, when he's like, "Oh, I must ask you a question," and then he's like, "Don't tell anyone I lost croquet."
Yeah. So my first online fandom was Office. It was the first time I joined forums and Television Without Pity and all that stuff and read fanfic. It was 2006. I had a baby. I was nursing up late at night. I was reading fanfic about Jim Halpert being tortured and yanking himself to death thinking of Pam. So that's what I was doing in 2006 and 2007. And in season 4 of The Office, Jim is fake proposing to Pam for an entire episode, several times, and faking her out. He goes down to tie his shoe.
Yeah. I kind of remember.
People were pissed at Jim because they thought it was so mean and so horrible of him to give her all of that hope and then just yank it away. And it was the whole internet was abuzz with how horrible Jim had been in that episode. And then here is Anthony doing it in front of everybody at dinner. It's not a good look.
Mm-hmm. Including his wasted preteen siblings.
Yes. But what kills me is that Kate looks tense as shit when he stands up. When he says that, she literally relaxes her body. And then once everybody's done toasting, she breathes out. It is tension and release, knowing that he's not proposing right then. And then in the hair oiling scene, she's basically looking at Edwina there's other fish in the sea.
You get to choose.
You have choices. There's my list. She is just 100% you want him now.
Mm-hmm.
You can't keep. I don't understand why after this episode they keep the ruse up. I mean, I don't really remember the details of the next episode, so I'm sure that that becomes more clear. But because then we go straight into the B scene, which, by the way, she's out riding early. You know that Anthony knows that she's out riding early because
she's showing her stockings. She's showing her ankles. She's showing her knees.
Her whole ass thigh is showing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's aware of what's going on in Aubrey Hall, and he's definitely aware of where Kate is. He knows she went out riding, and he just comes walking into the garden path like he's just taking a stroll early in the morning, kicking plants like he doesn't know she's standing right there. And then they have this whole thing where he's like, so are you going to be okay with it? What is this conversation? I didn't like it, but
then the bee is to the rescue.
The bee is to the rescue. It makes everything super hot. And she is calming his panic attack down, right? That's what we're
Mhm.
seeing happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Then you hear the doon, 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 like they play up the sound of the heartbeat. And she knows enough, like, cares enough about him to know what she needs to be doing to him. She's not just like all of a sudden like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? She's
Right.
like, he
Mhm.
is having a panic attack and I need to
Mhm.
help him.
Yeah. Because Edwina would just like fall on the ground. She would have no,
She would start screaming for someone. Help!
yeah. Yeah. B just said 3 episodes of Angst was enough, 5 was too many. I'm going to disagree. They just at this end of this episode realized that they're super
That
horned
there's
up for
angst.
each other. Yeah. So we
Ooh,
have a whole nother episode of super horny things happening, like the library scene, all that shit. We needed another one for sure.
and when they're like, when he calms down from his panic attack and is suddenly like, look how close your face is to my face, and they like bump noses 2 times,
Mm.
not just once. Their noses bumped the first time, and I was like, oh, and then it happened a second time, and I was like, these are some great camera angles. I love all of this.
Hmm.
I know. I know. It's so good. Here's the thing. When you adapt romance novels and you actually put the tension of a romance novel on screen, you can draw it out for 5, 6, 7 episodes and make people just absolutely salivate for every fucking moment. I mean, the internet and the world at large, the romance reading world at large, has been horny for the hand scene in 2005's Pride and Prejudice for 20 years, 15 years. We have been talking about that hand scene in Pride and
Mhm.
Prejudice. One moment from one fucking film. And this is what it's like when you actually take really meh average
Mm.
romance novels but with good characters and make an incredibly good episode season of television. Those nose touches are fraught with meaning and unresolved sexual tension, and it's totally watchable. Could
Mhm.
watch it all fucking day. And
Yeah.
the thing that makes it so good is, at the end of the season they're getting together. It's what makes reading a romance novel so good. The happily ever after is happening. So it's not like, I don't know, what's a show where like there's people that will they won't they? Bones. Is that something that happens on the show Bones? I don't know. I've never seen it.
No.
But they're like 2 detectives and will they won't they get together, and they keep stretching it out season to season to season, but it's got all
Yeah.
these other plot points, and that fucking sucks. But this formula where every season is one couple's story, they're getting together in the end, you can handle all of this angst because you know where it's leading. It's perfect the way romance novels are perfect. Adapt more romance novels, friends.
I remember like watching Game of Thrones, and my husband, my ex-husband, my former husband, had read all the books that had been written up to that point. And, oh my god, like Sir Jorah and the blonde lady. I was like, he is so hot for her. Like, I really hope they get together. And then he was like, "Do you ruin it for you?" And I was just like, "No, they don't." And then I was just like, "Fuck this show!" Like,
Yeah.
like you give me all of this attention, and then without like, why am I wasting time with this?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. And Rachel just said what, until season 6? You mean because they're already, there's not going to be unresolved sexual tension, they're just going to go do it in the shed? Exactly. Francesca is going to get the best season.
Santa says early friends. That scene of where Ross comes in and he was like, "You were over me? Like, when were you under me?" And then they finally like kiss for the first time at the Central Perk. I wept like a baby. So yes, give me all of that.
I do not remember Friends very well. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I didn't watch it.
I
Fat
think-
Monica. I'm sorry. Fat Monica was my line in the sand. I couldn't do it. I saw
there was no Fat Monica, I don't think, in the first season. But
All I
but
know
I'm
is
also older than you guys.
Yeah, we were in high school, and so we went over my friend's house, and she had like 10 people over, and Fat Monica was a Fat Monica episode, and all my friends were laughing at Fat Monica, and I left, and I never watched an episode ever again.
Aww.
Mm.
Fuck them. Fuck Fat Monica.
Fuck Fat Monica. Yeah,
Especially because she's not fat. Like,
nope. Put it on a fat suit. Nope.
no. I mean, like even in the fat, like what she was meant to look like in that fat suit was not a fat person. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like she just looked average
Yeah.
and normal.
Yeah. I just wasn't a fan. Sorry, it's okay if you were, Amy. I know a lot of people watch it. It was a thing. The whole thing was.
Well, remember the 90s and the 2000s.
Oh yeah.
I look back at some of the ideas that I had back then and whoo.
Yeah, and it's not like we had a lot of television options in
So true.
1994. Like just the few years between us, Amy, here, I think are significant because Friends was like a college person's show, but it was
so I was in college when it came out.
yeah, and I was like early teens, and it just didn't.
Yeah.
It was not for me, but like I loved Seinfeld, and that was a full-on adult show. But I watched every episode of
I
that.
watched that. Yeah.
I don't know.
I did watch every episode of Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Was
Speaking
that
of
like
unresolved
Sunday night?
sexual attention.
That was a great one. Listen, I fucking love that show. I rewatched it. I binged it a couple of summers ago. I think it was during lockdown, that lockdown summer. I was like, this is a perfect time for 6 seasons of Dr. Quinn. It holds up, friends.
Did they ever get together on the show?
They absolutely do in season 2. That's the end of season 2. It's glorious. It's glorious. You have to watch it.
Do they do it, or is it like they kiss and then they have to get married?
So they get together at the end of season 2, and then please stop talking, Michelle. And
go to hell.
And then at the end, I guess there's a whole they're courting for a very long time before they get married and have sex.
But they don't have sex until marriage.
They don't have sex until marriage.
That show was very puritanical. My mom loved it and
it.
recorded it religiously. There's only 2 things that my mom ever cared about: church and recording Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, even if it was a church night.
Would she re-record it? Would she use the same VHS tape, or
no? We had a whole set of the whole show.
That's so good. I love it all.
Michelle, what we're talking about is this contraption called the VCR, and there were physical analog tapes you would put in.
Oh, God.
Michelle, you might have seen some home videos of yourself as a baby. Those would have played in a VCR.
So Sheila watched Dr. Quinn during lockdown too, and she remembers the train sex. Thank you. Thank you, Sheila.
The fact that 2 of you in here watched Dr. Quinn during lockdown, there's something going on and that I do not understand. You could not pay me. You could not pay me to watch that show.
Oh, it's so good.
She had Cinderella on VHS. I had all of the Disney movies on VHS.
I have the Ariel penis cover. The Little Mermaid penis cover still upstairs in this house. They say it is, but it's only worth what someone's willing to pay for it. And it's a VHS. So if anyone wants to make an offer, I'm happy to hear.
You know who still has a VCR? My parents.
So they can watch your birth videos every night.
Hopefully not.
So they can watch Dr. Quinn.
When you ask your mom, like, is there something I still do? And you're like, yeah, you're weak like you were when you were giving birth.
Yeah, you can't hack it. All right, you guys. This has been great. Episode 3. It literally is a perfect episode. I will hear no complaints about it. There's nothing, you cannot improve upon it. Everybody's acting is amazing. The writing is top notch. I cried. I laughed. I was blissed out. I was frustrated. I was horny. All of it.
Even it's because they have so much chemistry together. Like you either have it or you do not, and they do.
Yeah. And because I honestly think Jonathan Bailey could have chemistry with my lamp right here. I think he's very sexy.
He's tremendous. I love him.
Fully deserves the Laurence Olivier Award he got a couple of years ago because he is such a good actor.
He won an award?
He won the Laurence Olivier Award in like 2018 or 19 for they did a revival of Company.
The revival that's in New York right now.
Yeah. Dun dun Company. You know that one? Ding dong ditch. I don't know the words. Company. Yeah.
I played Jenny.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
God bless this day. That was me.
Imagine the chemistry with that lamp.
Imagine the chemistry of them. He would smoke that mouse lamp. That mouse lamp would come to life under those
How
eyeballs.
tall is he?
He
Can't be
seems
that.
short.
He does seem
Mm.
short, right?
I saw him pull Wikipedia. Let me.
I'm looking it up too.
Like, is he a Tom Cruise 5'7", which means he's really 5'5"?
He's 33. Let's see how tall he is.
Apparently 5'11" as per Wikipedia.
So he's my height. He's
5'9".
5'7".
Yeah.
So 5'9", yeah.
Yeah. At most 5'9". He looked
Oh.
short to me.
He's only 30.
Yes, not getting married today,
Right.
Michelle. Like, that's why I don't like company. It's chaotic energy to me.
It's very chaotic, and it's the first show that did that vignette thing.
Mm.
Sondheim, what a freaking genius! Where
Aw,
there's
Sondheim
it's
drives
not
me
like a-
crazy. Drives me crazy.
Beth
I'm
and I
gonna
were
be
like texting each other, like, I don't like Sondheim. She'd be like, oh, me neither.
When he died, I was like, I'm fine. Like, no,
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Andy.
it's okay.
I
Like,
feel like I've disappointed you a lot today. I don't like Sondheim.
not
I
at-
like Friends.
You don't disappoint me
his
at all. I
shows-
disappoint you.
No.
shows are so chaotic. I want the timing to be straightforward. I cannot. It's just chaos to me.
So I also
And
was
we're getting
in.
all kinds of different numbers here.
I was also in a production of Sunday in the Park with George, and at the end of Act 1, they make the famous painting that with the
Mhm.
dots. Everybody's seen that
Yeah.
painting. It's like
Mhm.
so. At the end of that, every time I saw the musical, like to me, it's like so overwhelming. They're singing the song, they're making the painting. I saw it and I was like, this is genius. My head exploded. I was like sobbing. So when I'm in the show, I had to like the last night, the night that we closed, I basically was like, Sunday. And then my voice completely cut out and I cried the rest of the whole finale. I missed the whole thing. It was too much. I was like, I'm a bad actor. Thank you.
Do you have that recorded on a VHS tape?
No, it's not on a VHS tape. I
Give
don't.
it DVD.
A DVD?
Not that one. I have a DVD of me and Mamma Mia,
Mm.
and maybe Assassins as well, where I played Sarah Jane Moore.
You
Attempt-
need to post more like little snippets of your productions. Shut up.
No, I'm not very good. I sing fine, but like I'm a mediocre actress at best.
Michelle was
Shut up.
Maleficent her junior year of high school, which was 2010. I was still reading The Office fan fiction, but I had forayed into Twilight fan fiction by then.
Michelle, I
was
could have been your
30.
teacher, a director. 30.
30. Mhm. Thank you,
Yeah.
Michelle. Super glad about our age difference. Actually, I love it. Love it. Not a problem with me at all.
I love you, Michelle. You're like my sweet little niece.
All right, you guys, that was Bingerton, episode 3. This was great. I do not know when we will get to do another one of these because I cannot until maybe Saturday night. And that seems like it may not be a great night for anybody else. So,
No, it's fine for me. I'm just watching Dr. Quinn.
yeah, obviously. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're listening to this on the podcast, thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. Whatever. We love you all. We will see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.